All right, so let me just go ahead and answer the question. And I know that you're already thinking, did I smoke twack while I was incarcerated? Of course, definitely, many times. So there were like different like periods throughout my incarcerations. Once again, I went to prison 3 times that I would, smoke twack, K2, Tunchi, Rin, whatever, it was being called at that time. And I think the first time I was at work release, that's when it really was like on the street and it wasn't too much heavy in the prison system. And I think the majority of like a lot of it was more like socially acceptable for I think people on the streets, to smoke K2 at that time, what it was called, or Rin, because a lot of people were on probation and you could smoke this synthetic marijuana and it wouldn't show up like in your piss test. So it wasn't that strong then. People weren't like, having seizures and, having all this crazy like body movements and seizing up and falling out and all this crazy. It wasn't that potent then. It was very, it was still like kind of like put people in zombie mode, but it wasn't as serious as it became and as it is now. So that's when I first started smoking it, when I was at work release, my first bid, transitioning from prison to work release. And instead of going home from work release, I actually messed up at work release and got sent back to prison because of twack. You know what I mean? Because we showed up at work and our boss wasn't there. And rather than us going back to the work release center, we're like, man, we finna just hang out in the city. And we were just on the city bus going downtown, smoking twack, not thinking clearly, clouding our judgment. And because of that, got me sent back to prison. But the point that I'm getting at is there's different periods of time throughout my incarceration that, I smoked twack. I definitely wasn't no junkie. I barely even smoked it. I could probably count on my hands. I work at least I smoked it, quite often, when I was like 19, 20. I think I was 20. Like I said, it wasn't that potent then, and it was more socially acceptable. But over the years, it became like that new age crack, and it became super potent. So I only smoked it a couple times after that while in prison. And once again, too, if you don't know the fullness of my story and my incarceration, as I was incarcerated, man, I encountered Jesus for real, authentically, and he completely transformed my life. So all throughout my incarceration, it was more like, a missionary journey. Number one, to where the Lord was transforming my life, but also to God began to lead me to walk in my purpose and the call that he had upon my life to not only know him, but to make him known to others. And that's just being active in ministry and the chain gang and really just grinding for the kingdom. But once again, now, you know what I mean? Coming from a street lifestyle and just all I know is chaos and man, just that destruction, the destructive, self-destructive pattern that I once had. There was a lot of backsliding, there was a lot of rebellion, and including that, would also, involve me smoking weed, throughout my incarceration or drinking wine, and even from time to time smoking twack. But I remember there being like these few times that I did smoke twack, like throughout the years as it became twack and it became potent that man, I had super bad experiences. I remember being, a lot of people go to the back stall, whether they smoke it like at the bunk in the open bay dorm, they smoke it like in the bunk. It depends, man, like what type of dorm you in and how strict it is when it comes to the police and their, surveillance. But some, prisons and in some dorms, man, they're on that. The police are always looking out the glass, and if they smell smoke, they're gonna shake down the dorm. So it becomes like a different culture in every dorm of how to go about smoking dope, smoking K2. Some people don't care, whatever, they blow at the bunk. But at this spot that I was at this point in time, it was the common place to go to the back stall and, you would smoke your stick back there. So I go back there and it's me and my homie. I'm in the back stall. He's in the stall next to me and we're sitting down. And if you don't know what the back stall is, it's a bathroom. Like in the open bay dorm, it's a bathroom and they got rows of toilets, where you take a crap and they got urinals where you piss. But the back stall is Jack Shack. You know what I mean? If you've been incarcerated, you know what that is, where people take the flick books back there and handle their business as men, whatever. But also too, people be going back there with phones, if they're trying to stay away from everybody, because it's right there against the wall or, to smoke their dope or whatever. So me and my homie, we go back there and, he's in the stall next to me and we're passing, the stick, back and forth. And I remember, hitting the stick and getting high. And I remember, man, this stuff is so strong. I remember hitting it. And it's like I just got hit with the realization that I was in prison. Like felt like it was like for the first time. That's what dope does, bro. Like it completely like messes with your mind. So I remember hitting this joint, after the first couple times going back and forth. Now it's beginning to hit me. And I remember like the last time hitting it, I exhale and I blow it out. And I'm just like, it just hits me like, dang, dog, like, what am I doing? It's like one of those like epiphany moments to where like I'm in freaking prison, like hiding in this bathroom stall from the police, getting high. And I'm just like so paranoid and blowed. And I'm like, oh heck no. I remember my homie, he left. And I remember I just got back there stuck. And I'm just paranoid. And finally I muster up the courage just to leave and go back to the bunk and lay down, stuck. And that's what they call that twag too. It gets people stuck. Them like them experienced junkies, you know what I mean? They can twack out and do whatever, scream, go crazy. But for some people like myself, it would like paralyze me and make me stuck. So yeah, man, I just remember moments like that, smoking twag, and they were always bad experiences. They were always bad. They were never really enjoyable, like how weed could be. Nah, not the twag, man. It left me nothing but paranoid. But the whole point that I'm getting at, just in the entirety of the episode,